You are listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report, episode 127.1.1, our boys basketball weekend review for the CIC, the Mid-Eastern Conference, and Lapel, with interviews with Oak Hill's Kevin Renbarger, Blackford's Aaron Daniels, Frankton's Brent Brobston, Mississinewa's Josh Brooks, Elwood's Ryan Vanskyock, and Lapel's Kevin Cherry.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengels.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever you've chosen to listen to the Central Indiana Sports Report. We wish you the merriest Christmas in the history of Christmases. Today is December 24th. It's a Tuesday. It's Christmas Eve, but it's still a day for the Central Indiana Sports Report. I'm your host, Greg Mengelt, and I love Central Indiana basketball. Today, I'm coming to you from headquarters in Jeffersonville, Indiana. Beautiful producer Susie is sound asleep. Today, we review the week that was for all of the CIC teams: Oak Hill, Blackford, Madison-Grant, Frankton, Mississinewa, Alexandria, Eastbrook, and Elwood. Our four Mid-Eastern Conference teams: Wapahani, Wes-Del, Daleville, and Cowan, plus our only independent, Lapel. This is one of four boys basketball week in review segments that we will be releasing over the next couple of days. We have a couple more week in reviews for our other conferences in Blackford, Delaware, Grant, Howard, Madison, Tipton, and Northern Hamilton counties. Then on Wednesday morning, Christmas morning, we will release our top 20 power poll and name our player of the week, team of the week, performance of the week, coach of the week, and probably some more stuff. But you should just go ahead and like, subscribe, or follow at SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, or YouTube so you don't miss a single segment. Do it right this moment before you forget. Nobody likes a procrastinator. We start, as we always do, with the CIC. It is, after all, the conference that named itself after this podcast. And we start at the top of the standings. That is where Oak Hill stands at 5-2 overall, 2-0 in the CIC. They are tied in the conference standings with Blackford. Oak Hill defeated Frankton 61-55 at home Friday. The Golden Eagles forced 20 Frankton turnovers, had 17 team steals, shot 51% from the field, and 40% from deep. Sophomore Jace Tonigal had 22 points, 7 assists, 4 steals, 4 rebounds. Sophomore Landon Cruzen had 11 points and 3 steals. Junior RJ Sugar and senior Ryan Lawson scored 10 points apiece. Sophomore Luke Elzinga had 3 points, 3 steals, and 3 assists. Oak Hill next hosts the Grant 4 tournament on Saturday. They play 2-4 Eastbrook in the first round. It's the second semifinal at approximately 11:45 a.m. It's being played at Oak Hill. Here is Oak Hill head coach Kevin Renbarger with his thoughts on the Eagles' week and their start to the season. All right, Coach, big win over Frankton on Friday. 3 wins in a row against 3 really good teams. Heading into the holiday season here, you got to be feeling pretty good about where your team is.
Yeah, be honest with you, it was a little bit unexpected at this point, but the kids have exceeded expectation and, played to the level of the culture and have done a really nice job these last 3 games. Very, very important. 2 of the last 3 are very important games. Right. And then 1 was against a very high quality opponent in McConaughey. So, yeah, I feel like things are headed in the right direction as long as we can keep this momentum going.
What did you feel like was the difference on Friday night?
Probably just enough plays at the end. As I sitting back watching the film, I think our defense was pretty good, particularly on the ball late in that basketball game. We really kind of clamp down and force them out of a lot of the things that they wanted to do. And then on the offensive end of the floor, we were able to execute just enough. We struggled offensively, left a lot of shots around the basket. So I think, probably just our defensive pressure and again, taking Frankton out of what they wanted to do, which was a huge key for us in that basketball game.
And of course, you got a guy on your team who makes plays. And
It always helps.
Yes.
It always helps. Yeah. And especially being a point guard. Teams have attempted to try to take him away, and we've been through this before with, on the other side with people like Luke Brown, where you try to take a point guard away, and it's just extremely hard to do that because they're so ball dominant. And Jace, has proven to really make the right plays in almost every situation here in the last 2 or 3 basketball games. He's obviously shooting at a very high percentage, but then also I think he had 6 or 7 assists on Friday night, and then also several steals. So he's really kind of stuffing the stat sheet, but then also just leading our team on both ends of the floor right now.
Blackford won its 4th straight game Friday, 56-21 over Elwood to go to 2-0 in the CIC. Then the Bruins lost a heartbreaker 65-62 in overtime for their first loss since their season opener. In Friday's win at Elwood, Blackford shot 54% from the field and held Elwood to 7 of 34 and forced 18 turnovers. In the overtime loss at Eastern Hancock, a couple of Bruins had career performances. Senior Gage Baker had a career best 26 points, and junior Mason Kitterman had a career best 22. Freshman Amari Leggett added 12. Those 3 scored 60 of the Bruins' 62 points. Next week, the Bruins go to Shenandoah for the Raider Christmas Classic. It's an 8-team, 2-day, 3-game event. They open Friday against 3-3 Tenley at about 1:30. They'll play again Friday evening against either Greater Latrobe from Pennsylvania, which is 6-1 after going 7-13 last year, or 1-2 Indianapolis Lutheran. Lutheran, of course, has only played 3 games because their football team just won another state championship. We'll have a holiday tournament preview show for you at 5 a.m. Friday, and we'll get to hear from Coach Aaron Daniels about the tournament at Shenandoah. But for now, here's Coach Daniels on another strong weekend for his Bruins. All right, Coach, you get a big win in the CIC on Friday against Elwood, and then a heartbreaking loss Saturday at Eastern Hancock. Tell us about your weekend.
Yeah, I thought Friday night we played really, really well. We played well defensively. We gave up, no more than 6 points a quarter. I thought we were really locked in. We didn't play down to any talent levels or anything. We came ready to play, and so I was really proud of that win. Then we turned around Saturday. We played well enough to win Saturday, but defensively, just way too many breakdowns, and they shot the ball well, which hurt. But we had a chance to win it at the buzzer. We set up a play. It was in the hands of our freshman guard, and he played, well that game, and we got a really good look, and then we just kind of ran out of steam in overtime and lost by 3 there.
If I'd told you that Gage and Mason were going to score their career highs on the same night, I bet you thought you'd win.
Yeah, after the game on the radio, I said, we love having 3 in double figures, but when you only have 3 in double figures and then you have one with 2 points after than that, it's tough. It's crazy to feel so one-dimensional when you have 2 kids score 20 plus points. I mean, it was, they were really hot from the 3-point line. I think they both hit 5 threes, which, just fantastic. And really, when you look at the stats, outside of rebounding, you would think we won that game, but we got out rebounded by 10 rebounds, and that was really the story of the game.
I don't think people realize how close you guys are to being 6-0.
Yeah, the Southwood game, I put on myself. We were not prepared. That was our first game of the year. I felt like we should have won that game, just from a standpoint of putting us in a position to win. We were in major foul trouble. And then at Eastern Hancock, we're a buzzer beater away from, really twice. We missed one in regulation, and then we missed one in overtime, and then they got to look at it. We're 2 possessions away from being 6-0. I mean, I really like our basketball team. I like what we're doing. I like where we're at. So we're 4-2. Nobody's upset about that. But you're right. We're 2-3 possessions away from 6-0 right now going into Christmas.
Madison-Grant had a rough weekend with a pair of 20-plus point losses. After a 3-0 start, the Argyles have lost 3 in a row. They lost 54-31 at Mississinewa on Friday for their first conference loss, then lost 56-35 at Tri-Central on Saturday. On this coming Saturday, Madison-Grant plays in the Grant 4 tournament. They start with defending champion Mississinewa in the first game at 10 a.m. at Oak Hill. Again, we'll have a full holiday tournament preview with much of it about the Grant 4 tournament coming up. Of course, the Argyles will go into that game as the underdogs after losing to Mississinewa on Friday. Frankton is 2-3 overall and 1-1 in the CIC, taking their first CIC loss on Friday, 61-55 at Oak Hill. Frankton shot 50%, 44% from behind the three-point line, and made 13 of their 14 free throws, but 20 turnovers really cost them. Senior Brady Carmack had his second double-double of the season with 21 points and 10 rebounds. Sophomore Trey Bennett had 12 points and 5 rebounds. And senior Joey Wright, 9 points, 6 assists, 3 steals. Frankton has another big weekend ahead. On Friday, they are at 7-0 and top-ranked Wapahani. And Saturday, they are at 6-1 Monroe Central, a team that just won comfortably at Lapel on Saturday. I asked Frankton head coach Brent Brobston how he felt about his team heading into Christmas break.
I feel pretty good about where we're at. We've lost 3 tough road games to Lapel, Tipton, Oak Hill, who are 3 really good programs and good teams, and we've stayed undefeated at home and taken care of the games that we thought we should have a chance to get and be able to get. The 3 on the road we felt like were going to be difficult, but they were games we knew we could win. We just didn't come out on top. But I think they are games that we've definitely learned from and learned some things we got to get better at. And no, I feel really good about my team. I haven't lost any faith in them. I told them that going forward here, our goal is to be playing basketball really well in March. And to be honest, that's about what people really remember is tournament success. So that's where we want to be playing our best. And I think we're still in the conference race. Oak Hill's really good, and they're sitting on top of it, but there's still some tough road games ahead for them.
Yep.
And like I told you before, I do think that the CIC is very evenly matched this year. So I think, any team can win on any given night. So we're still in that hunt too, and we've just got to be prepared come January for that.
What do you think the difference was Friday?
Turnovers. We out rebounded them. We had it 26-11 on the boards that we out rebounded them. We were 4 for 9 from 3, which is 45%. We were 15 for 29 from 2 for 52%. So, from a shooting standpoint, we shot the ball particularly well, but from a turnover standpoint, you can't turn the ball over 19 times and expect to win the game. So that was the huge key, and that's what we did. Unfortunately, we turned it over too much in order to beat Oak Hill on the road. That's too good of a team to do that with. And you got to give Oak Hill credit. They made plays down the stretch. Tonical hit big shots when he needed to. And for us, we were just right there. It's been the same way for us in all 3 road games. So, we're just looking to try to steal a game on the road somewhere and get one. And the next 2 tests are arguably the toughest, at Wapahani and at Monroe Central. And Wapahani, I think, is probably the best team in 2A, if not one of the top 3. And then Monroe Central just beat Lapel at Lapel by 15. Yeah. So they're proven to be pretty good as well. So our schedule doesn't get any easier. I mean, our road games, going through next week will be at Lapel, at Tipton, at Oak Hill, at Wapahani, and at Monroe Central. So I don't know who our athletic director is, but he's got to do a little better job of scheduling.
Yeah, he's no good. Time to move on from that guy. All right,
yes.
Coach. Through this first part of the season, besides the guys who you expected to star for you, anybody who's impressed you on your roster, Coach?
I think that Blake Nickham's come on a little bit for us off the bench. And probably the most impressive kid so far that we didn't expect as much as we're getting is Trey Bennett, our center. He's been able to. He's a 6'6" sophomore, and he's been able to score in double figures in 3 games in a row for us now, and double figure rebounds in a couple of games. So he's really come along. You know, Joey Wright and Brady Carmack, we expected great things from them, and that's what we're getting from them, and good leadership from them as well. And Stansbury is a year stronger, so we've really been happy with him. But Bennett's been a big newcomer, and I think people are impressed with the energy that Noah Melvin's giving us, and that's been impressive for us, and we needed that from him. And then Nick him off the bench has done a good job for us. Bennett's probably been the biggest surprise. And, you know, like I've told you before, we're so team-oriented. It's hard to leave guys out. Like Javon Miller's been big for us off the bench. And you got Baron Dietzer, who hasn't played a lot of minutes, if hardly any. And he's just a good leader in practice every day. And what a great kid, just brings in a great attitude and does the right things to try to make our team better, even though he's not getting as many minutes. People like that are special kids.
Mississinewa beat Madison-Grant 54-31 Friday. The Indians shot 50%. Freshman Ravion Fetz was 7 for 13 from the field for 19 points. Senior Keontae Woods had 9 points and 6 rebounds. Junior Ian Newsom had 5 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists. Junior Seth Yoder added 5 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 steals. Mississinewa took a tough 49-45 loss at Lapel on Saturday. Next week, Mississinewa will see Madison-Grant again on Saturday at 10 o'clock in the opening round of the Grant 4 tournament at Oak Hill. We, of course, like I just mentioned, will preview that on Friday. I spoke with Mississinewa head coach Josh Brooks about his team's weekend. Coach, I know you're probably a little disappointed that you didn't get the win against Lapel, but looking at the weekend as a whole, you have to be pretty happy with what you saw.
Oh, no doubt. You know, happy on Friday to get the win in conference and kind of take care of business there. You know, and then proud of our guys and their effort at Lapel, a tough place to go, being majorly oversized, I guess, you know, in the heights department. Our guys did a good job of, you know, not making that an excuse and, you know, attacking their zone and getting after it. And, you know, had our chances late to tie the game, take the lead, and just came up short.
You know, look at the record. It's 2-4 right now. I bet you don't really feel like a 2-4 team.
No, I had a long discussion with our assistants after the Lapel game, and you know, asked a few questions about, you know, kind of where we felt like we were at and, you know, what directions we wanted to head. And, you know, one of my assistants made a good point and just said, outside of the Marion game, our other 3 losses have been by a combined 11 points. So, you know, we don't need to overreact. Where, you know, he felt like we're headed in the right direction. And, you know, I do feel like this team is getting better with every game we play. And, you know, finding ways to score more points here in the last couple games. So that's encouraging. And I do feel like we're getting better defensively. So I know our record may not show it right now, but I do feel like we are quickly getting to the point where we are going to be a very competitive and dangerous team.
And big win on Friday over Madison-Grant, conference game, a rivalry game. Of course, Ravion Fetz had a nice game. I want to talk, though, about junior Ian Newsom. 5 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. Just gives you a little bit of everything every night. Of course, part of the great football program there as well. Tell me a little bit about Ian.
Ian's a guy that kind of, again, has been a pleasant surprise for us, you know, just because of our inexperience in youth. You know, did not dress varsity at all last year, I do not believe. And, you know, came in and, you know, obviously graduating 7 and losing a couple guys to some other different things, you know, has kind of been thrust to the forefront of, you know, our point guard spot where the ball's in his hand an awful lot. You know, and a lot of kids could have folded under the pressure or, you know, shied away from, you know, that responsibility. And he's definitely taken it head on and has been really, really a bright spot for us as far as, leadership, handling the ball, and outside of all those stats, probably our best defender, a guy that we normally will be putting on the opposing team's best player. So I can't speak enough about how well he has acclimated to his role, and how big of a piece of the puzzle he's been to us this year so far.
Feeling pretty good about where the program is a little bit into your second season?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the guys are just continuing to buy in. I think, I've said it over and over again, but very blessed to be a part of this community. And, these guys, the team last year and even the team this year, just their grit and determination and never say die attitude is just infectious. And, Huntington North game obviously just stands out as our one for this year. But, down 19, any team could have rolled over and, cashed it in. And I don't think anybody would have blamed them. But, they had the grit and the determination to just continue to fight. And, we come out with a win. And, this team, as good as I felt like we were defensively, just continues to improve and get better in that area. And, the offense is slowly coming along as well. And, if we can continue to hold teams to around 40 points and we can continue to find ways to score in the, the upper 40s, 50s, this team is, I feel like, going to be pretty good by the end of the season.
Alexandria won its first game of the year, and it was a CIC game, 52-49 in overtime over Eastbrook. The Tigers are now 1-6 overall, 1-1 in the Central Indiana Conference. Senior Carson Hall hit a floater in the lane with 2 seconds left, and Bryson Eckler had 18 points, assisted on freshman Cam McAtee's key three-pointer in overtime, then hit 2 clutch free throws to seal the 52-49 win over Eastbrook on Friday night. Sophomore Connor Kettery had 10 points. Hall finished with 9. 6 of those came in the fourth quarter. On Saturday, Alexandria lost 51-35 at Class 2A number 1 Wapahani. Next week, the Tigers are at an 8-team, 2-day, 3-game holiday tournament at Edinburgh. They open with 0-6 South Decatur in the tournament's first game at 10 a.m. Friday. They'll play a second game Friday at 6 or 8 p.m., 6 if they lose the opener, 8 if they win, so we'll assume 8, against either 6-0 Northeastern or 2-5 Austin. Doc Nash's Borden Braves are on the other side of the bracket. Eastbrook is 2-4 overall, 1-2 in the conference. They lost 52-49 in a heartbreaker in overtime at Alexandria on Friday. They led most of regulation, including in the fourth quarter until 2 seconds left when Carson Hall hit a floater in the lane to send the game into overtime. Junior Bodie Howell had 16 points in the loss. 14 of those came in the second half and overtime. Sophomore Jaden Yeltz finished with 12. Senior Reed Opperly scored 6. And senior Draven Collins, who missed a potential game-winning three-point attempt at the buzzer in regulation, had 5 points, as did sophomores Kyler Hackman and Malachi Luthi. Of course, Eastbrook is also at the Grant Ford tournament at Oak Hill. The Panthers start with the host and favorite Oak Hill at 11:45 approximately in the opening round of the tournament. They'll play either defending champion Mississinewa or Madison-Grant later Saturday evening. Elwood is 2-6 overall, 0-3 in the CIC. They beat Burris 41-29 at home on Thursday for their second win of the season. Senior Jaden Mullins had a huge night with 23 points, almost outscoring Burris by himself, and 20 rebounds, out-rebounding Burris by himself. Elwood lost 56-21 at home to Blackford on Saturday, shooting just 21% in the loss. Junior Braden Etchison led Elwood with 7 points and 5 rebounds. Mullins had 5 points and 5 boards. Elwood is off until Monday, January 6th, when they take on 5-3 Liberty Christian, the second-ranked team in Class A, in the opening round of the Madison County Tournament. I spoke with Elwood head coach Ryan Vanskyock about his team's weekend. Well, you started your week with a win over Muncie Burris, 41-29, and then a loss to Blackford the following day. That had to be a really tough, day after game after that.
Yeah, we just
Pretty
we
tough.
struggle a little bit. I mean, we got basically because of a couple kids being out, we got 5, 6 guys that we play basically the whole game. So back to backs have not been real great to us. We thought we did a pretty good job in the first half, and then in the third quarter we gave up 27 points.
Mm.
Just uncharacteristic stuff from us, just getting picked and layups. I think they scored 8 or 10 points within 30 or 45 seconds. So we felt like for a majority of it, we did a really good job. We let the third quarter get away from us and we just fell apart. So we came in today, we were supposed to have the day off and practice and got ourselves better. And we got Cam back today to practice. So
Great.
today was a really good day. We tried to work on some things that we need to improve on. And the good thing is we got 2 weeks of a break here to continue to keep working and getting better for the second half of the season.
All right, well, let's go back to Thursday. Big win over Burris, and a special performance in that game as well.
Yeah, Jaden Mullins just unbelievable. He's not been playing basketball very long, and he says he's not a basketball player, but I mean, the kid had 23 points and 20 rebounds. That's pretty remarkable for a high school kid. So he really carried us. One thing we try to tell the kids is that for us to be successful, it just can't be a one-man person trying to carry us the whole time. So we need other people to step up and score the basketball in certain spots. But man, he put us on his back and carried us, and it was great to get a win for our kids. Not where we want to be win wise, but we feel like with the Bryce and Cam coming back, and we finally have our whole varsity team that we had this summer that we can work on trying to get better every day and go compete for a sectional and get some wins at the end of the season.
And next, of course, is Liberty Christian and the Madison County tournament, but that's not till 2025. Let's talk a little bit about what your plan is for the next more than 2 weeks.
You know, we're going to practice a couple days this week, and then the kids are going to get off to go spend time with their family, which we think is really important. And then when we come in the following week, we're going to go 6 days. We're even going to practice on New Year's Day. But for us, we got to try to get ourselves better on the offensive end. I feel like our defense, for the most part, has been pretty good. We are struggling shooting the ball. We're struggling running any offense and getting continuity and any of that stuff. So we're going to spend those 2 weeks of trying to gel a little bit better on the offensive end.
Now we go to our only independent team in our coverage area. That, of course, is Lapel. The Bulldogs are 4-3. They bounced back from a rough 65-50 loss to Monroe Central on Friday, with a 49-45 win over Mississinewa at home on Saturday. Lapel is off until Monday, January 6th, when they go to 2-5 Pendleton Heights for the first round of the Madison County tournament. One of Pendleton Heights' 2 wins came against Lapel at Lapel on December 6th, 71-65. I spoke with Lapel head coach Kevin Cherry about his team's up and down weekend and its up and down season so far. All right, Coach. Well, it seemed kind of like the rest of your season this past weekend. A lot of positives, a lot of negatives, a little bit of up, a little bit of down.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Greg. Friday night, first of all, congratulations, Monroe Central. I thought they played extremely well. They've
They're
got a
for
really
real,
nice
aren't they?
team. They are. They have the freshman guard that's playing not much like a freshman, and the Foster kid is really athletic and has greatly improved. And I mentioned this for the game. Like, it's noticeable on film, just something's changed. It's not like they brought in a whole new recruiting class. You know what I mean? It's just like
Right.
those guys have bought into what he is wanting to do over there, and I was really impressed with him on Friday. And then we turned right back around on Saturday and play a Mississinewa team who, I thought going into the weekend, both of those games were going to be very tough, but I thought maybe Mississinewa on Saturday night might pose the most matchup problems for us. And to come away with a bounce back win over Mississinewa, I was proud of our guys, especially after Again, Monroe Central played great. I didn't think we played to our standard either. There were some positives out of that game we can talk about in a little bit, but to get that win over Mississinewa, I was happy.
Yeah. So yeah, tell me about that. What caused you to get behind so much against Monroe Central? What did you do well over the weekend?
In the Monroe Central game, I thought they came out and they made their first 7 threes,
Oh,
and
that's
and
it.
so they jumped on us right away. But in that run, we reverted back to I think we just panicked a little bit instead of staying the course, making sure we're getting great shots and hopefully that water will find its level at some point. We came down and got really quick, and there's guys that that have been in the program now for a few years, and we're trying to continue to stress that and teach that we can't get it all back in one possession, but we certainly can't allow the snowball to get bigger going down the hill by taking quick shots and not getting stops on the other end. And then we get into that Mississinewa game and we get down 11-2, I think it was, and we stayed the course. We're ahead. We take a lead late in the first quarter and really never gave up the lead after that point. So the script flipped for us a little bit. Friday night we panicked. Saturday night I think we learned a little bit from that and played through that slow start, if you will, much better than we did on Friday night.
What did you do well?
On Friday night, our young kids in the second half, after we were down 41-19, we have kids that can play. That we have a freshman, Liam Coe, that's dressing varsity. Got some varsity minutes on Saturday. Our sophomore class is very deep. I hate mentioning names because I'll ultimately forget somebody, but Quaid Hall, Owen Garber, Mason Kinnemer, those guys, when we started pressing that second half against Monroe Central, they were very active, high energy, and we're able to turn Monroe Central over there in that second half to get it into somewhat a competitive game, although we really never threatened in that second half to take a lead. So I was happy for those younger guys that played and showed some fight and determination. And then I told our guys Saturday morning at walkthrough is, hey, that happens. Is how do we respond? And they responded very well. Brody Judge had 23 Saturday night. Bodie, I think, ended up with 17 and rebounded the basketball very well. I don't remember exactly where he ended up, but it was close to a double-double. And, Devin Craig on Saturday night, he didn't score, but he was much more posed with the ball in his hand in terms of driving it to the basket, playing off 2 feet, drawing an extra defender, making the right read. Quinn Wilkins stayed solid on Saturday night. And Luke Jones made a couple big shots in the second half. We didn't go quite as deep in our rotation against Mississinewa just because of some different matchups. But Liam Coe, like I mentioned earlier, did get some good minutes there in the second quarter. And after I watched it back on film, he was really good in his minutes. Owen Garber came in and played really well off the bench. Mason Kinnemer rebounds it for us. He may be our best rebounder, and that's a big statement with Bodie Judge on the floor. And so he's probably second just because of Bodie. But the way Mason rebounds it and goes and gets it, that's what gets him on the floor. And I thought his minutes were really good on Saturday. He ended up leaving the game with just getting a little cut there on his eye. So in that fourth quarter, he had to go out. But he was good over the weekend as well.
All right, Coach, I'm looking at your schedule, and because I want you to have a Merry Christmas, I'm not going to mention all the teams coming up on your schedule because it is brutal. You could go 500 and have a really good team. What are your plans for between now and the Madison County tournament?
Well, we're going to give the guys a few days off. I think that's important. With some football guys that come, they get right out of football, go right into basketball, and their bodies never really get a chance to recover from one sport to the other. So we're going to give them a few days off here, and then we're just going to continue to stress getting better every day. Pendleton Heights poses a significant challenge to us. It was a great contest the first time we played them this season, and again in the third quarter we let things get away from us, but I thought we were in a position to win that basketball game. This time we go to Pendleton, and going on the road against a team like them, look at their record. You look at the record and teams they've played, they should have. I don't say should have. I wasn't there. I don't know. They were in a position to beat Guerin Catholic. Sure. They were in a position to beat Mount Vernon.
They feel like they should have beaten Guerin for sure.
Sure. And so their record is so deceiving. It's unbelievable. And I know they're excited to probably get into that Madison County tourney where they can say, hey, we've got a chance now we've kind of went through a gauntlet here, but we can win some games and maybe get into that championship game in the Madison County tourney. So we'll have our hands will be completely full and more when we play them in the first round.
By the way, we have a lot of good teams in our area. We still have Pendleton Heights pretty high in our power poll because we understand that uh, if they had a different schedule, they would have a much different record.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking at there. And same with you. You guys do not shy away from the competition. That's for sure.
Well, I mean, not being in a conference, it poses challenges with the scheduling, and that is what it is. But yeah, I think ultimately it's going to help us get better in the tournament. There's no reason to go out and schedule put together a schedule where you're going to, win however many games and not be ready for the tournament. So it's all about getting ready for making a deep run in late March, hopefully.
But it's no good for your coaching record.
Well, I guess you're right. And there are guys that probably look at that, but I've never really been one to. I guess I would rather go 500 and beat really good teams along the way and then get ready to win a tournament. I don't want that mentality of our guys, and I don't want that mentality of anybody in our program. That's not our culture. It's because when you get in the real world, it's not. You go apply for a job and say, hey, well, that kid went to a 4A school. I'm not good enough. Or, you just got to compete. And whoever's on the floor and who's your opponent across from you, you've got to do everything you can do to be successful. And that's in life. That's in the game of basketball. That's whatever you're doing. So that's the kind of culture we have. And we certainly don't shy away from competitive opponents.
And that's why you have a great program. If I was running a program and I was doing my schedule, I'd have at least 8 games that I was sure I was going to win every year. So I congratulate you on your mentality.
Well, you think about like last year, we finished 18-6, and we get knocked out of the tournament by Wapahani. The expectation level at Lapel, which is great, but I almost got the impression like that maybe that wasn't a successful season because that culture there with Coach Howe and the success they've had over the years winning state championships. And you're not in a conference. It's almost like it's state championship or bust. And that 18-6 record was the second best regular season record in the last 30 years at Lapel. Our defensive average was the second best defensive average in the last 30 years at Lapel. So it's hard to get people to get really excited if you don't really dive into it and say, what are we really working? I mean, this is what the data is telling us, but what does it really mean? And
all you did was go undefeated in the second half of the season until you played a team that went to the state championship. So if that's not a successful season, then I need to challenge the people of Lapel to lower their expectations just a little bit.
Well, I know Friday night people thought the world was falling. The world was falling on Lapel, and we're going to cancel basketball the rest of the year. And I get it too. I mean, gosh, I'm a passionate fan, and but it's a process. And at the end of the day, they're 15 to 18-year-old kids, and we're trying to build something for long-term success. And I'm talking about the season and over the course of years too. But we're trying to build something, and I think it speaks volumes to Matt Carpenter, Nick Whitty, and Talon Jarrett, the 3 seniors that we lost last year, and how important is a senior leadership. And sometimes, again, we've talked about it in the past. It's not necessarily points and things that show up in a stat sheet, but we lost our 2 best defenders from last year. And I think in the losses that we look at this year, that's kind of where we can go back to on the defensive end and say, hey, we weren't good enough, and we got to continue to get better to win those type of games. And I don't think it's any secret losing your 2 best defenders from your 5-man or your starting 5 makes an impact. So guys got to figure out those kind of roles to help our team win.
Now to the Mid-Eastern Conference, of course, Wapahani is on top of the conference standings, at least as far as our local teams go. They're 7-0 overall, 1-0 in the conference. Shenandoah is 3-0. Monroe Central and Eastern Hancock are both 2-0. Those are the 4 remaining unbeaten teams in the conference. There are going to be a lot of good upcoming games in the MEAC. On Friday, Wapahani beat Wes-Del 74-35 at home. They shot 52%, had 17 assists on 28 baskets. Junior Camden Bell had 24 points and 8 rebounds. Senior Nate Luce, 16 points, 5 assists, and 3 rebounds. Junior Eli Andrews had 10 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 steals. They also won 51-35 at Alexandria on Saturday. Bell scored 17 points. He was 3 for 4 from behind the 3-point line. Also had 7 rebounds. Luce had 15 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and 4 steals. And senior Logan Wolf contributed 9 points. Wapahani has a double home weekend coming up against 2-3 Frankton on Friday and 3-3 Jay County on Saturday. Wes-Del is 4-3 overall, 2-3 in the MEAC. After a 39-point loss to number 1 Wapahani on Friday, the Warriors beat Daleville 58-47 in a double conference weekend. Senior Josiah Love, who entered the contest averaging 30.4 points per game, had 20 points in the loss to Wapahani. Wes-Del's off till next Friday, January 3rd, when they go to 1-3 Union County in the first of 3 straight road games. Daleville's 1-5 overall, 1-4 in the MEAC. They beat Blue River 80-63 for their first win of the season Friday. Of course, that was also a conference win. Then lost 58-47 at Wes-Del on Saturday. 5 of their first 6 games have been conference games. The Broncos are off until Saturday, January 4th, when they host 4-2 Tri-Central. Cowan is 0-7 overall, 0-2 in the conference. It's their third 0-7 start in the last 6 years. They lost 69-38 at Tri on Friday. They had 39 turnovers in the loss. Sophomore Brady Clifford finished with 16 points and 9 rebounds. Junior Luke Garrett had 7 points and 6 boards. Then on Saturday, they lost 67-42 at Eastern. They shot 29% in that one and had 26 more turnovers. Clifford finished with 13 points, 12 rebounds, 4 steals, and 3 assists in a stellar performance in the loss. Garrett had 9 points and 3 assists, and sophomore Noah Sowers finished with 8 points, 3 assists, 2 rebounds, and 2 steals. The Blackhawks are off until Friday, January 3rd, when they are at 3-3 Madison-Grant. Thank you to Lapel head coach Kevin Cherry, Oak Hill head coach Kevin Renbarger, Blackford's Aaron Daniels, Frankton's Brent Brobston, Mississinewa head coach Josh Brooks, and Elwood's Ryan Vanskyock for joining the Central Indiana Sports Report. And thank you for listening. Please go right now and like, subscribe, or follow, and tell a friend about the Central Indiana Sports Report. We will be forever in your debt. Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media. And I love Susie.